Title: The Midnight Broadcast That Knows Your Secrets. It started as a joke among my friends, the local late-night radio station that only comes alive at midnight and disappears before dawn. They called it the Phantom Frequency, a station that no one officially owns, broadcasting nothing but static and strange whispers. At first, it was just a weird curiosity. But then the whispers began to feel personal. Like the static was trying to tell you something only you would understand. I was alone one night, scrolling through the dial, and suddenly, there it was, a crackling voice speaking my full name, recounting details about my day that no one could have known. My heart stopped. The voice didn't just say my name, it told me things I had hidden even from my closest friends, secrets I thought were buried deep. And that was just the beginning. After that night, the broadcasts changed. They started issuing warnings, almost like commands. "Don't answer your phone," the voice hissed one night. "Don't open the door," it warned another. I ignored the first few. Figured it was some sick prank, a hacker or radio enthusiast messing with people's minds. But then people around town started disappearing, neighbors, co-workers, even strangers I barely recognized. Every time, the last thing they heard was that same midnight broadcast telling them exactly what they were about to do. Or what they should avoid. And if they disobeyed, the next broadcast would say, "You have been marked." One night, desperate for answers, I recorded the entire hour of static and whispers. When I played it back, the voice wasn't just speaking to me, it was speaking through me. My own voice twisted and warped, telling secrets I didn't even know I was hiding. I realized the broadcast wasn't just a radio show. It was alive. It was watching, learning, controlling. It was the city's ghost, feeding on our fears and memories, growing stronger every time we tuned in. Then came the rules, whispered on the airwaves, etched into the static, hidden between the words. The only way to survive the midnight broadcast was to never listen alone. If you hear your name, do not speak back. Don't try to prove you're real. Don't trust what it tells you to do, even if it sounds like you. Never record it or share it, or it will find you faster. And above all, before midnight strikes, leave your house, find a place where the signal can't reach, basements, tunnels, or anywhere underground. The broadcast hunts through radio waves, and it knows every secret you fear to admit. The last time I heard it, the voice said, "You're almost ready to join us." I didn't know if it meant death or something worse. But I do know this, whatever the broadcast is, it's not just a station. It's a trap, and once you hear your name on the air, the only way out is to disappear yourself. Before the next song plays, that warning echoed in my mind as the static swelled louder, filling my ears like a swarm of angry bees, until a distorted melody crawled in, one I'd never heard before. It was a lullaby, soft, haunting, like a siren's call designed to lull me into submission. My hands shook, fingers twitching toward the radio dial, but I forced myself to turn it off. That night, sleep was impossible. Every creak in the house sounded like footsteps creeping closer, and every whisper of the wind through the cracks in the walls felt like the broadcast was trying to slip inside my mind, breaking down my defenses. The days that followed were a blur of paranoia and terror. I stopped answering calls. I unplugged every device that could pick up radio waves. Yet no matter what I did, the broadcast found ways to reach me. On my cracked old television, the static would sometimes warp into faint outlines of faces, blurred and flickering like shadows trapped behind glass, whispering my secrets back to me. At work, the office radio, which no one ever touched, would blare out static during meetings, then suddenly cut to the broadcast, my name spoken in a chilling monotone that froze everyone in place. No one else heard it, but they all looked at me like I was losing my mind. One night, I made the mistake of listening again, just for a moment, hoping to understand what it wanted from me. The voice was clearer than ever, no longer masked by static. It told me I had 3 days to join the choir. The choir. That was the phrase it kept repeating. I didn't know what the choir was, but the sense of finality in its tone crushed my soul. I searched online for any mention of the phantom frequency, but there were no records, no broadcasts, nothing except vague rumors buried deep in internet forums where people claimed to have lost friends, family, even themselves, after hearing their names whispered on the air. Some said the broadcast was an ancient curse, others believed it was a manifestation of collective guilt or a sentient virus infecting technology. I didn't care what it was, I just wanted it to stop. That's when the dreams started. Vivid, violent visions of standing in an endless void, surrounded by other lost souls, all staring blankly, lips moving in perfect harmony, singing that same haunting lullaby. Their faces were featureless, like mannequins with hollow eyes, and each one had my name written faintly across their foreheads. I tried screaming, but no sound came out. The voice whispered again, "Join us," before the last note fades. When I woke up, I was drenched in sweat, my skin crawling with a cold that didn't leave. In desperation, I sought out an old radio technician known in town for his conspiracy theories about haunted technology. He listened to my story with wide, haunted eyes, nodding slowly. "It's not just a broadcast," he said gravely. "It's a predator, hunting through the airwaves, feeding on your fears and memories. Once it chooses you, it will do anything to bring you in, possession, mind control, erasing your existence. You can run, but it will find you wherever there's a signal." He handed me a small, handmade device, a jammer tuned to block the phantom frequency. "Use this to shield yourself when the clock strikes midnight, but it's only temporary. The broadcast adapts. Eventually, it will break through." That very night, I hid in the basement with the jammer clutched tight, counting down the minutes to midnight. As the clock struck 12, the radio upstairs sputtered to life, spitting out static like a beast waking from a long slumber. The voice was there, faint but unmistakable, calling my name like a predator stalking prey. The jammer crackled and sparked, struggling to block the signal, but it was losing strength. Suddenly, the basement door slammed shut, plunging me into darkness, and I heard whispers all around me, dozens of voices, all chanting my name in unison. I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The shadows in the corners thickened, reaching toward me with icy fingers, dragging me toward the abyss. The last thing I remember is the voice, cold and triumphant, saying, "Welcome to the choir." Now, the broadcast plays through the static on late-night radios, but when it speaks my name, it's no longer a warning. It's a greeting, a promise that once you hear the phantom frequency, it never really lets you go. It knows your fears, your memories, your deepest secrets. And it waits patiently for the moment you slip, the moment you listen. Because then, you become part of the song, lost forever, trapped in the endless midnight broadcast, singing along in silence for all eternity. If you ever stumble upon the phantom frequency, remember these rules: never listen alone, never speak back, never record or share its signal, and always hide in places with no signal at midnight. But most importantly, don't listen to your name when it's called. Because once the broadcast knows you, it won't stop until it owns you, body, mind, and soul. I didn't fully grasp the horror of those words until the night I broke every single rule. I thought I could outsmart it, that by recording the broadcast, I might find a weakness or a way to fight back. Instead, I invited the nightmare straight into my home, and it didn't just stop at invading my space, it consumed me. That night, as the clock crept toward midnight, I sat alone in my dimly lit living room, the radio crackling softly in the corner. The jammer was long dead, a casualty of my reckless attempts to keep a recording going. I pressed play on the tape, and there it was, the garbled static, the whispering voice, calling my name with a precision that made my blood run cold. The air thickened around me, the temperature dropping so sharply I could see my breath. I tried to look away, to cover my ears, but my body was frozen, as if the broadcast had a hold on me, tightening like invisible chains. Suddenly, the walls began to shift. Shadows bled from the corners of the room, stretching unnaturally long like fingers reaching out to grab me. The voices multiplied, layering over each other in a maddening chorus, each whisper repeating my darkest secrets aloud. It wasn't just a broadcast anymore, it was a living entity, feeding on my fear and twisting my reality. The faces I'd seen in dreams emerged in the shadows, featureless, hollow-eyed, singing their dreadful lullaby, their mouths moving in perfect sync. I screamed, but no sound came out. The broadcast wasn't just in my ears, it was inside my mind, rewriting my thoughts, erasing my will. I tried to fight, to break free, but every step I took was like sinking into quicksand. My own voice betrayed me, echoing through the room as the broadcast forced me to speak words I never wanted to say. It told me I was ready to join the choir, that my memories and identity would soon be nothing more than static lost in the ether. My phone vibrated with notifications I didn't recognize, texts from myself, messages to people I never intended to contact, all filled with the broadcast's twisted warnings and commands. I was losing control. The last thing I saw before darkness swallowed me completely was my reflection in the cracked TV screen, not my face, but a featureless mannequin's, eyes blank, mouth frozen in a silent scream. I don't know how long I was trapped inside that nightmare, but when I awoke, everything had changed. The world felt off, colors muted, sounds distant, And worst of all, I couldn't remember who I was or why I was hiding in a basement full of broken radios and tangled wires. The broadcast still played softly in the background, like a heartbeat echoing through my soul, reminding me that the phantom frequency had claimed me. I was no longer just a listener, I had become part of the signal, a ghost trapped between the waves, singing the eternal lullaby for all the lost souls who fell prey before me. Now, I warn anyone who will listen, the phantom frequency is more than a creepy legend. It is a predator that hunts through the very air we breathe, a parasite that feeds on our fears and memories. The rules aren't just suggestions, they're lifelines. Never listen alone, never respond, never record or share, and always find shelter where its signal cannot reach. But even then, you can never truly be safe, because once it knows your name, the broadcast is waiting. Waiting to pull you in, to make you part of its choir of shadows, singing forever in the dead of night. If you hear that static hum, if you catch a whisper of your own name carried on the midnight airwaves, run. Don't look back. And whatever you do, don't answer. Because the broadcast never forgets. And it never stops coming for you.